What's up and welcome back. Of course, I'm Tim Gettys, and today I am joined by the godfather of internet video, Rocco from Mega64.
Wow, thank you. What an intro.
Yeah.
What an incredible intro.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing so great. I love the I mean, this is not news to you, but the smoke in the intro, it's very reminiscent of, in fact, Power Rangers. Because I remember they would do that every time, like, Lord Zed walked into his castle. You had the, so this is very appropriate, and I like it. I like your shirt, too.
Thank you.
Let's just praise each other the rest of this hour.
That's what this is going to be. Now, this shirt, I have a fun story about it. Now, first off, one of my favorite pieces of merch ever. The moment I saw this, I was like, I need to buy this thing, and I've worn it so many damn times throughout the years. But I imagine it's inspired by the Kodak film look, right? Maybe like VHS tapes and things like that. I don't know.
Something like that. I mean, our designer Meg did that, so I'm going to give her the credit. I don't know what she was thinking when she did that, but all the Power Rangers colors are represented there, so I'm going to say it was maybe inspired by that. Who knows?
That's
actually, wait, there's orange in there. Well, there was an Orange Ranger, I think, later, but
at some point, exactly. Yeah. But that's my thing. The funny, like, full circle of this is, Rocco, I've been a fan of you for a very long time. We've worked together a couple times back at what was it? SGC, RTX, and all that stuff. Always a great time. But I bought this shirt supporting Mega64 and all that. But the main reason is it reminded me of the Power Rangers in space outfits. And I was like, I love that, so I need this. Not knowing that you were a mega big Power Rangers fan. So eventually I followed you on Twitter, and I realized, I was like, oh my God, Rocco is into this stuff in a way that I really, really get down with it. I was like, I love that this shirt that I love so much from Mega64, I got because I liked how it reminded me of Power Rangers in space. So full circle moment right here.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I the amount of things from Power Rangers that I have snuck into our stuff since we started is immeasurable. Like I think if you know that, it almost ruins everything else because you'll only see little Power Rangers nods. I think there was another shirt we put out that had in Mega Ranger when they transform. Now we're going Super Sentai. In Mega Ranger when they transform, there's all this kind of like English text that appears behind them, and I think there's literally a shirt we did that had all that text on it, and no one ever caught that.
I love that.
I don't know if anyone cares, but it's on there.
But it's there, everybody. This is the Kind of Funny screencast where each and every week we get together to talk about the latest in TV, movies, trailers, all of that stuff. We've been doing weekly breakdowns of The Mandalorian. You can check that out right now. We just finished our episode with Anthony Carboni for the finale. Go check it out in all the normal places. YouTube.com/kindoffunny. Search your favorite podcast service for Kind of Funny Screencast, and we will be right there for you. If you want to get the show ad-free, though, you got to go to patreon.com/kindoffunny. Just like our Patreon producers, Tripod Plus, James Hastings, Casey Andrew, Nathan Lamoth, and Al Tribesman have done. Today, we're brought to you by Rocket Money, but I will get to that later. We got to talk about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers once and always, the 30-year anniversary special on Netflix that you can watch right now. Rocco, before we get into that, I kind of just want to talk to you about Power Rangers as a whole. Clearly, you're super into it, but like, how into it are you?
Okay, so it's been on for, I mean, this marks the 30th year. So, I will admit there was a point I did drop off. I tuned into it right when it first came out in 93. There was a point that I did drop off. It might have been around, I don't know, Time Force, something like that in the early 2000s. But the period between when it started and then, there was nothing I was more obsessed with. Especially the Zordon era of the show. If you didn't think that I wasn't going to label different eras of the series, you were wrong, because that stretch of the series and just the story and the continuity between all of it was my favorite stuff that had ever aired. And I will say personally, just as a connection to what I do now and have done since in Mega64, the show really, not only was it exciting to me and fun, but it really did inspire me in terms of what I wanted to do in like video editing and stuff like that. Well, I guess at the time when I was a kid, I didn't know I was into that yet. But I remember watching as a kid going, wait, why does the footage look different when they go outside and fight the octopus monster versus when they're hanging in the juice bar? It almost looked like it was different quality. And then I found out, oh, there's a Japanese TV show that they're adapting. So some of the footage is American, some of it is Japanese. And then that turned into, me going down the rabbit hole. I'm in third grade going, okay, so this monster is from Die Ranger and the Megazord is from Zhu Ranger, or vice versa, one of those. And they're editing it to make it look like they're punching each other, but they're not. They weren't even in the same set. You know what I mean? It kind of awakened part of my brain, like, oh, the power of filmmaking and editing and things like that. You can make these things happen. And so I think that had a huge imprint on me. Plus, I just thought the Green Ranger was badass.
Oh, hell yeah, of course. I'm so similar to you there, where a big reason why I do this was falling in love with Power Rangers and just being inspired by some of the cool things they did. I remember being a kid and watching the morphing sequences and being like, that is literally the coolest thing possible. And like, if at any point in my life I get to have that, I will have peaked. That is the moment. And like, I've got to do that now. And that's kind of my dumbass life in a lot of ways. But it's like, it's just so cool that this kid show can inspire people to go on and then create for decades and decades, 30 years later,
Yeah. And you're not the only one inspired by the morphing sequence, because let me give everyone out there a pro tip. If you search YouTube for morpher test or morphing test, you will find some of the best clips there. It's everyone trying to create the morphing animation. You watch those for hours. That's the best thing to search on YouTube, number one.
It's just gold, man. But I was a little late to Power Rangers, actually, because I had parents that were like, oh, not the weapons and all that stuff. So I got on closer to around the movie. The movie came out on my 5th birthday. And that was like obviously a revelation. And then kind of going back and catching up. But from that moment on, just like you, I was absolutely obsessed. And I would watch every single week, every single series, and all the way through the Zordon era. Like In Space is probably my favorite when I take out like the Green Ranger and all that stuff, because duh. But the end of In Space, that really is kind of like the 7-season finale of the original story, was so good. And then even after that, I watched Lost Galaxy, and it was fun and I enjoyed it, but not having that continuity, that was kind of the end point for me. And I was aging out of it a little bit too. So I was like, all right, maybe I'll bounce off this. And then since then, I've kind of just come back for these big anniversary specials, the Forever Red and the Mega Force ones and all that stuff. And there's just such a fun and a nostalgia to it. But I appreciate that the show is still going, is still what it is, and has an audience that loves it.
Yeah. So it's pretty incredible. They do every other year, they do this convention, Power Morphicon, the official Power Rangers convention. And you're thinking, I mean, honestly, even as a longtime fan, hearing about it, I'm like, well, that, before I had ever gone, I was like, that can't be that big. I mean, I'm sure it's very fun, but it's a small thing and whatever. And you see it get bigger and bigger. Like, it's like people discover its existence and it just becomes a bigger and bigger thing every year. It's a huge convention and half the people are dressed like monsters. It's amazing. It's awesome. So the fact that exists, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is. So moving on from all that, what did you think about this Once and Always on Netflix?
Okay, so I will. Okay, this is. I'm gonna.
It's
this
a
might
safe
be a
space
hot
here,
take.
man.
I don't know. I was always rubbed a little wrong when anytime they did a Power Rangers movie. I know this wasn't theatrical, but whenever they tried to make a big presentation of it, they always tried to make it something that it wasn't. Even the original movie. I enjoyed it as a kid. Okay,
I loved
it.
But
there was still an energy of like, no, we got to make it cooler than the show. We have to step it up. We can't just do that. 2017 Power Rangers movie that came out. Oh, it's got to, we got to make it a little edgier. We got to make it this or that. I will say that I definitely appreciate that this special, like it or not, is unabashedly dorky, and I would say, is the production value much better than it was in the 90s? I don't know. I mean, clearly it's like shot nicer, I guess, but the dorkiness is intact. And I do think this is a particular series, franchise, whatever, that I actually think you need to maintain a level of that to keep its spirit, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm actually right there with you. Like, it really felt like the vision for this was, let's make this what it is, not what we remember it to be, and not what it could be in 2023. And I think that worked for what this was. Having said that, it is a jarring experience to watch. It is weird to watch this, and especially with so many of the cast members being as old as they are now, acting the way that they're acting, saying the things that they're saying, moving the way that they're moving. But it's authentically Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And more than that, I was so impressed on the nerd side of stuff, how much they tried to keep this in canon to those original 7 seasons. And even referencing things past that. Like, there's like hints at stuff like the, we see the Adam and the other one, Aisha, I think it was. With the SPA suits, and it's like, that's going to become SPD eventually. It's like that type of stuff I thought was really cool. But I loved that Zordon didn't come back. Like, I loved that, like, despite that being kind of the plot point, it's like, no, man, he's gone because he died. And the explanation for why Robo Rita is back, it's quintessentially Power Rangers and goofy as hell. But whoever wrote this cared to, like, try not to step on their own toes.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely was in there are certain things, as you mentioned, you use the word jarring. It was because there is sort of an expectation that, like, oh, they'll update it. Oh, they'll they're not going to, kind of like throw things out of nowhere like they used to in the old show, and they won't. But no, they do.
They just do.
It's for better or worse, really structured. Like, it's like we got a bonus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers episode 30 years later.
That's 50 minutes long instead of 20.
Yes,
exactly. And hey, take that for what it is. I had a great time watching it. I don't think I'm ever going to rewatch it. But I do think that, like, they really made the most of their time for what they aimed to do here. The tribute at the end was incredibly moving. I thought they did a really good job. But it's kind of interesting to look at this special for what it is as compared to the original Power Ranger series. You bringing up all of the Japanese footage that they kind of just had to make work into a story and, like, kind of Frankenstein together because of the realities of who's alive and who's not anymore in Power Rangers. And on top, just for people that don't know, Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, is not in this, and he was alive when they shot this. He chose not to be in it, as well as the original Pink. And so those choices meant that we were going to get Rocky and Kat in as the Red and Pink Ranger, and them being kind of forced into this feels like the old show of just like, well, this is what we have to work with. So let's try to put the pieces where we can. Yeah. There was definitely that feeling of, I mean, I remember, again, as a kid, not even kind of knowing what was going on when it was suddenly like, oh, we have a new red, black, and yellow Ranger now, and that's fine, I mean, if you look at the second season of the show, they were in the middle of filming the movie. So there's so many episodes where they, like, weren't unmorphed. Like, oh, we're stuck in this haunted house where we can't get out of our costumes. Like, they really would, like you said, they would kind of just make whatever fit. I think that's why this felt so natural. You don't see the Green Ranger unmorph, but it feels like, well, I mean, this is something they would do. Yep. You're totally right on that. Yeah, and they call him Tommy, they call him Jason. Like, even though they're not there, like, we know they're the same characters. And I think that was fun, and I think that because of the pieces that this iteration had to work with, we got a really special story, mainly focusing on Trini's kid, right? And Trini is somebody that a character that has really not been shown any respect throughout the franchise. Where like the original yellow, red, and black Rangers left because they weren't getting paid in real life, they were written off on the show as like, oh, they went off to like a some conference, a world's conference. Yeah, the peace conference. Yeah. And then they just never came back. And then it's like, as things went on, it's like, well, Jason comes back, becomes the Gold Ranger, the coolest fucking thing ever. And then the Turbo movie and all that stuff. So it's like, we had moments that, of course, the Red Ranger's going to get his big I'm the hero moment. But like we never got that for the Yellow Ranger. We never got that for the Blue Ranger. And Billy was with the show a lot longer, but for this to focus on the original Yellow Ranger storyline and Billy, I thought was a breath of fresh air from the admittedly always cool Green Ranger, White Ranger, Red Ranger stuff. But this was kind of like, let's take it from a different perspective.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, obviously it would have been fantastic to have, give Tommy kind of one last feature in this or whatever. But I kind of understand, from what I understand, he didn't do the special because he had his own kind of, like I've kind of done this enough times for the series and things like that, which is true. They featured Tommy a million times. It really was refreshing to see it go to Billy was like such a huge integral, as you mentioned, into Zeo. He wasn't even a ranger, and he was just like kind of like a second Zordon to them, and so to kind of give him respect was awesome. By the way, I do want to say, by the way, about Billy, the whole special I'm watching, I'm going, wait, are we okay to spoil things?
This is full spoilers. Full spoilers.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the headline, full spoilers.
Okay, great. I'm watching the whole special going, okay, how much do they really care about
the lore,
the continuity, the storyline? And the whole time I'm going, Billy, okay, this homeboy flew to planet Aquitar to live with, I think her name was Cestria, one of the Aquitians that lives on the planet. They poorly edited footage of him to make it look like he went to like go hang with this alien chick on some other planet. And I'm like, are they even there? Okay, I'm watching the whole hour going, they're never going to address that. The last 5 minutes. Oh my God. Hey, Cestria misses you. I'm like, thank you. Okay. Thank you. You did it.
That was so good. And my moment of that was the reveal of Kat's kid, JJ, which is Kat and Tommy's kid. And like, for people that love Power Rangers when it first came out and then dropped off after like the movie, like a lot of people did, everyone kind of ships Kimberly and Tommy in their minds. And they're like, of course the Pink Ranger and White Ranger are together. But the reality is it's the second Pink Ranger. It's Kat that ends up canonically with Tommy. And I love that they kept that detail.
There was, if you go deep in the Power Rangers fandom, you dig through the message boards, the news groups, there was always the pressing, dire question: is the Power Rangers Zeo Christmas special a season to remember canon? Because it shows an aging, elderly Tommy reading a Christmas story by the fireside to a young kid, and then an elderly Catherine enters the room asking if they want a hot chocolate or something.
Confirmed.
Like they had a kid, and it was always like, well, that's not canon. It's a Christmas special. It's not canon.
Boom.
Season to remember is now canon. So let the YouTube comments deal with it, because I know there's going to be a lot of season to remember haters.
But real talk, though, I love it for as weird as this was to watch. And I think that this is going to not vibe with a lot of people. It really vibed with me because of all the dumb things we're talking about right now. It's like they listened to the nerds and they're like, you know what, fucking let's give them what they want. And they kind of delivered in that way, I think, over and over. And even in the more kind of meta real world stuff of like having Billy back and, in real life, the story of that, of like him essentially quitting the show because he was being bullied on set, because he was gay. It's horrible stuff. And this is his first time back after being such a core part of the show for so many seasons. And for them to have even the line about them saving the guy's husband, I was like, this is great. Like they're really trying to like at least use this moment to kind of do the best they can again with the pieces they have at play.
Yeah, definitely. It was, Billy, David deserved this moment. They really did nail that in terms of giving him his moment, giving Twee Trang her moment. And it really, I mean, in that sense, just delivered. And as you mentioned too, like they really didn't care who wasn't with it. you know, they really, it couldn't have given off more energy that they were just you're with us or you're not kind of, energy just through, even when they were talking about I think the moment where it hit me the most, where it was like, oh damn, they really are just on their own wavelength. When Rita was talking about how she came back and she kept bringing up the Z wave, and how that dispersed her energy through the galaxy, but the Z, and they make 0.0 attempt to clarify what the Z wave is.
Totally.
I think that's even a fan-made term.
Which I love, because like, I mean, that's the thing with that. It's like, I've never heard Z wave. I know what they're talking about, but like, that's because I'm a fucking nerd.
Yeah, but for those who don't know, for all the normies watching this, it was when they destroyed Zordon's tube. The monsters were overrunning the galaxy, and they specifically, Zordon asked for them to shatter his tube that he was in because his energy would wash over. It was like a failsafe. It would wash over the galaxy and eliminate all evil. And so they're still talking about this quote unquote Z wave. But again, like I said, I think that was a fan made term. It was also, again, going back to Billy, I think this is the first time ever we heard his last name on camera ever, which was Cranston.
Yeah.
After Bryan Cranston, who was a voice actor on the show back then. He played. Now, I will actually segue this into, I will express a disappointment that I had.
I got a couple disappointments too. So yeah, go off.
Bryan Cranston, one of his early roles. And Bryan Cranston is, Breaking Bad. Some of you have seen it, maybe. One of his early roles was Snizzard in Power Rangers. I will say a part of me was holding out hope.
Yep.
He would have reprised his role as once I saw Snizzard in the promos, I'm like, that's the most obscure monster to bring back.
It really is. So it is a letdown. Why didn't they just? And I get, like, I understand why, but also I feel like he would have done it.
Yes. I have always heard stories, things all, over the years where how cool he was with fans. And I mean, he even reprised, as far as I know, with that last Power Rangers movie that came out in 2017. I don't even think he really had, like, from what I've heard, didn't even really kind of have time to do it. Like, he gave them like a day. Like, oh, Power Rangers, yeah, I have like loyalty to that because that was an early gig for me. Yeah, I'll do it. And he's Zordon in that movie. He's actually pretty good as Zordon. And I think he did all that in like a day. He's shown up to interviews in like Power Rangers like costumes and stuff. Just as kind of a gag. And I really honestly thought, like, okay, maybe he'll, even if he records his lines over voice memos or something, he would maybe appear, but that didn't happen. That's okay. It's my own expectations.
Totally.
But I just thought after, what a great streak we had, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. I just thought, like, how do you round out that kind of universe? Okay, Snizzard,
baby.
Finale. You kind of blow it out with one last Snizzard.
Yeah.
That's okay. We didn't do it, but I'll let it go. I'll let it go. It was still cool seeing Robo Snizzard.
It definitely was. One thing that I was like a little bit like, I don't know about this, nerd shit, was the fact that there was any Zeo Rangers at all, because the crystals are gone, right?
Yeah.
So when we see the yellow Ranger, Tanya, the yellow Zeo Ranger, be turned into a toy, I did enjoy the toy stuff. I thought that was like a fun way to just kind of like being meta without being too meta of like, Power Rangers are toys. Here you go, guys. But yeah, the Zeo stuff I thought was interesting, and then having Kat and Rocky in their Mighty Morphin outfits as opposed to their Zeo, it's like that makes sense. But it was weird that there were any Zeo at all.
I hate to do this, but I'm gonna maybe correct you.
Please do
on that. Okay, because I actually think it makes less sense that the power coins are in it, because those we actually saw were like terminated. Like, again, even in Power Rangers in Space, there's an episode called Always a Chance when Adam returns and shows that he still has the Black Ranger Mighty Morphin.
And it's all messed up, right? It has like the burns
it's
on
like
it and
fried
shit.
Because the power coins, the original power coins, were totally eradicated. They had to get, in fact, that's why they got the ninja coins in season 3 of Power Rangers. So that was, that never really got an explanation, like how do they have the dino coins again? But The Zeo crystal, I believe, we never saw any kind of evidence that was destroyed. They kind of just awkwardly transitioned into, oh, now we're going to make turbo powers. They transitioned from Zeo to turbo. I don't recall there being a situation where the Zeo crystals were damaged.
Wasn't that the
Unless
start of the turbo?
The
turbo movie? It's been so long, so I definitely could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that was like the beginning of the movie, and they jumped off the waterfall and it messed up the crystals. But it's been a while. I could be totally off on this.
Catherine does try to become Zeo Ranger 1 Pink as she falls down a waterfall, but it doesn't, like, her transformation doesn't work when she plummets into the water. But the Zeo crystals themselves were not destroyed.
Okay.
They really don't give much explanation, as they just say, like, okay, now we made stronger turbo powers.
Yeah.
There are fan theories that they are still using some derivation of the Zeo crystal, or possibly, and I'm sure this crossed your mind, potentially even use of the Super Zeo gems given to them by Trey of Triforia. Your thoughts?
Trey of Triforia. God, I love you so much. I have many thoughts. We're going to get to those in just a second, but real quick, here is a word from our sponsors. Shout out to Rocket Money for sponsoring this episode. We all love gobbling up content, and we have an understanding of what subscriptions we use. Or do we? Do you know how much your subscriptions really cost? Most Americans think they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions when the actual total is closer to $200. That's right. You out there. You could be wasting hundreds of dollars each month on subscriptions you don't even know about. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and it helps you lower your bills, all in one place. Rocket Money has saved some of us here at KindaFunny a ton of money, and it can help you too. Stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. That's rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. ROCKETMONEY.com/kindafunny. And so now we're back. Where do you want to go from here?
I was, a lot of people didn't get to see it, but over the break, I was discussing how I think there was further plans for Billy to, if you've seen Zeo, in that season, Billy mentions he's working on a bigger project, which I do think was going to be a better, more defined segue into the turbo powers. But of course, the actor left. We never got to see that. I explained all this during the break, and I just felt like it would be criminal to withhold that information, those theories, from your audience. So I just wanted to share that. I do think there could have been a better segue from Zeo into turbo. And I'm curious what the commenters think of that transition. What would you have done? Email us, rangertheories@kindafunny.com.
Exactly. I mean, what's funny about that is that, when people look back at the Power Rangers as a whole, and they think of Mighty Morphin, it's like Mighty Morphin was 3 seasons, right? 3 seasons with the movie not canon. They kind of remade the movie in season 2, 3. Which one was that? The ninja season 3. So they did that a little bit differently. So the show version's the canon version, and then Zeo was season 4, and then pretty much from then on, it was like new season. Every season was a new title. We had Zeo, Turbo in space, with a pretty different cast. Whereas up until Turbo, even, it was kind of like a variation of the same cast as it went through, right?
Yeah.
So and then after that, they kind of just like, it's weird because after in space, they're all connected, but only when they want to be.
Yeah.
Which is it's kind of fun.
Yeah. I remember, I was, I think a long time ago, I think I did a kind of funny podcast where we talked about the days of early internet. And so I've talked about that subject with you before, and I will again. I remember being on very early internet and seeing rumors that, like, hey, they're about to replace the whole cast on Power Rangers. And it was like, wow, they wouldn't replace Tommy. They wouldn't replace, they can't do that. And sure enough, when there was an episode, Power Rangers Turbo, called Passing the Torch Part 1. And I remember seeing that in the print. That I used to have a print TV guide and seeing the name of the episode going, oh, this is really happening, isn't it?
Yeah.
And, you know, being on 1997 message board forums going, guys, it's gonna.
Oh, no. Can he still hear me? We lost Rocco. Barrett is on it. He's on the case, trying to get us back.
Yeah, I think that might have been his end, because our internet. I was scared our internet dropped off, but yeah, we're looking good on our end here.
So we're still going, Barrett.
I mean, we could pause recording right now, and then once we get him back, we can unpause. The technology of OBS, Tim.
I mean, yeah, let's do it then.
All right, we'll be right back, kiddos. It'll be like no time for you.
So two little nerd things I noticed that I really appreciated when they said we got to do the Pandora protocol. First off, do you know what that's a reference to?
Yeah. Oh, Zoo Ranger. Come on. That was
I don't know about this.
Oh, so you actually, okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yes. I love anytime I get to explain something. Yeah. Pandora. I remember as a kid, even watching Power Rangers, seeing Rita's palace on the moon, it said Pandora Palace.
Oh.
And thinking like, what is that? Like, why does it say that? And finding out that was her name in the Japanese series in Zoo Ranger. And so having that just get suddenly dropped in the American version was kind of nuts. Pandora Protocol. I didn't expect that.
It's so awesome, but I love when they said it. And for me, the thing I marked out about was the Astro Megazord popping up on the little like spinny wheel, and it was like I just love the references there. And I'm in Space Boy, so I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I love that right after that scene, we kind of get like the getting the team together essentially, and we get the Rocky and Kat scene. And I just loved how like perfectly dorky Power Rangers it was, where we get them to go out and their plan was, hey, we have this weird crane with a magnet on it, and that's how we're going to get these robot guys. But I love that it was Kat who was the one dealing with the crane and like pointing, like she kept talking about this damn crane. And I'm like, it's because she's the crane. She's the crane one.
Oh, that was great. That was glorious.
So yeah, I thought that was a lot of fun. And then the all the morphing sequences, I just was so nostalgic for, and I thought they did such a great job. And like, seeing the original Black Ranger like say it's morphin' time was like, man, I got chills. This is awesome.
I'll actually even add to that chills from that. The most chills I would say I got maybe in the whole thing is, okay, they returned to the juice bar. They totally recreated that set.
So
pretty cool. Pretty impressive.
Cool. Hip hop keto, baby.
But when he busted out hip hop keto, I had forgotten. I mean, that martial arts style has been forgotten over the years, not many study it anymore.
He looked great too.
Just effortlessly took care of those putties. Oh man, that was great. I do want to say that I will take it back to another small gripe. Speaking of the putties, who this is kind of a dick thing to bring up too. So I'm gonna apologize.
I love it. I think I know where you're going with this.
Whoever was in charge of costumes in this, once you see it, you can't unsee it. But they tucked in the head part wrong. On their rubber masks are supposed to have like a little like lip of the fabric that goes under it, but whoever dressed all the putties put it outside of it, so it looks like they almost have a hood on over they put the costumes on wrong. That's all. That's just something I noticed. I'm sorry.
I love it. That is not. I thought you were going to say some stuff. Well, technically, the putties shouldn't be here for whatever reason. It should have been the Tengu Warriors.
That would have been cool, to be fair. But I understand, for nostalgia's sake, you got to have the putties. That's fine. But they didn't. Yeah, you got to tuck the thing under the rubber mask. Like you got. I'm sorry. That was a nitpick. But.
Mm-hmm.
I will say what was kind of amazing, though, with the way they fought the putties and stuff, just a couple things that you never saw in the original show that were kind of like amazing in this. First of all, they could never say like die or kill in the old show. That was like expressly prohibited in a kid's show like that on network anyway. So to hear that so many times in this, like, oh, I'm going to kill the Rangers. I'm going to kill one of you. Which one of you is going to die first? Stuff like that was like, whoa. Okay, yeah, I'm not used to hearing Rita say that. But on top of that, what kind of blew me away was we actually saw them using the power weapons in a stabbing sense.
capacity. Yeah, dude, I'm right there with you. I was like, whoa, there were multiple moments during this where I was like, I am surprised at how dark they're going with this. The whole thing starting off with like a Top Gun style, here's text on the screen kind of explaining what's going on. I was like, we're setting the tone. I'm here for this. Then the music plays, but they didn't do the intro, which I was like, I'm let down by this. I was an idiot. Of course, they're going to do it at the end, and they did a great job. But to see them all running, the fire explosions behind them, the whole squad, I was like, this is so damn cool. But then immediately, for Rita Repulsa to say, goodbye, Trini, and then kill the Yellow Ranger, a character we have not seen in the show, heard about in the show, who in real life, the actress died. I was like, there's something that doesn't sit right with me about this. And then immediately from that scene, it cuts to 1 year later, and we get we get Billy and Zach at the house, and they're just having this conversation of like, how are we going to tell her that her mom died? I don't know. We probably shouldn't. School's out, and she walks in. I was like, this is brutal.
Yeah. It was surprising, and honestly, it's still so funny too that it's like 20 years later too. Like, we never, again, they hadn't really paid homage to Trini in the show ever until this point, but that was 22 years ago. So it is kind of funny that it's like they're just handling that now, and it's such a direct way. I just did not expect that.
Yeah, definitely didn't expect it at all. And I thought that her daughter was fun. Like, it's kind of the character that this needed for sure. A great way to kind of pass on the legacy. Seeing her pictures, her mom's pictures all around, I thought was great. And her trying to morph constantly throughout it, and then eventually getting it. It was like, this is Power Rangers. This is why I love it. They all get in the Megazord, and I think that the other chill moment for me was seeing Billy kind of be like lead chair for a bit in the Zord. And when they're all in there, the set of it all, it looked plussed up a little bit like the 95 movie, but it still felt authentically in the world of the TV show. And I was just like, man, this is pretty damn cool.
Yeah, that and even on top of that, having the controls be the again, these are the little fine details that I'm looking for, is controlling it with the power crystals made from the coins. So that, like, those were there as the controllers. That was cool. And then, like, when the Yellow Ranger can't, she's like, oh, I've never like done this before. He's like, oh, it's gonna be like second nature to you. Same explanation they were given in like the very first episode. It's like, how the hell do you know how to do this?
All in sync slice.
Yeah, it's second nature. Don't worry about it. I will say, maybe my last thing I guess I'll complain about, but it is what it is. I've never been I gotta voice some beef with whenever they do CGI Zords. I'm kind of like, don't worry about that. Just a dude in a suit. It's fine. Rubber suit.
Totally.
We're fine. We know what we're watching. It's Power Rangers. Yeah. Which is why I actually appreciated when they did the, there's the initial Power Rangers movie that came out in 95. Very early CG. I'm going to say it's safe to label not good.
Yeah.
But the second movie, Turbo Power Rangers movie, not the best movie, but I did appreciate it had big rubber suits. Unabashedly, they had the Kyoto brothers do a monster. The Megazord was just a dude in a big rubber suit, and it was perfectly good. I kind of feel like you could have done that here. I do think the Zords on their own, those were CG, and they kind of perfectly recreated the original animations of how they would summon them. Pterodactyl coming out of the volcano.
Loved that. Yeah, the whole
really
intro
was
scene
kind of perfect.
Was
I'm
great.
like, for being CG, you kind of nailed this. But it was just the Megazord itself. I'm kind of like, you could have just had a dude in a suit.
Totally. That's where it kind of felt more like modern Power Rangers, and I was like, oh man, like I want, like, everything else here felt like the original show. So that was a little bit of a letdown. Character-wise, though, when we get introduced to Alpha 9, I was like, I just love that he's the 9th one. And immediately I'm like, oh my God, that means that because we knew Alpha 5, we knew Alpha 6. As far as I know, we didn't know anyone past that. So having 9, I was like, there had to be a 7 and an 8. And then immediately they're like, yeah, guess what? There was an 8. It's this Robo-Rita. Like, holy shit, that's a wild reveal.
And again, that is the perfect Power Rangers explanation. Like you said earlier in the show, like they just immediately cut to the same set with the same Alpha costume. No, but that one got turned into the bad guy. Okay, great. That's
cool.
That's the most Power Rangers thing possible. But once again, I will have to correct you. I do believe we saw Alpha 7
so much
I think it was Forever Red, the 10th anniversary episode in Power Rangers Wild Force. I do think we saw Alpha 7 there. I may be wrong. If the YouTube comments eat me alive, I apologize, but I think we saw him there.
I will say that speaking of Power Rangers Forever Red, that is, I think, the definitive anniversary Power Rangers thing, because it is pure perfection of just like, here's what y'all fucking want. Just pure hype. That shot of all of the Red Rangers standing there fighting against the Beetleborgs, but they're not the Beetleborgs. It's just, all that. And then the explosions of red and then the fire. It's like the most insane thing ever. And we get Jason back. We get Tommy back. It's so good.
Yeah, and I think, and in case you didn't know, I don't know if maybe you do, but that was straight up written by a longtime fan fiction writer.
No, that's awesome.
They brought him on. I mean, this guy was like a mastermind with that kind of stuff online, would write stuff that was just like, oh my gosh, no one understands every little bit of continuity and everything with the show more than him, and I think they let them write it.
That's so cool. And Alpha 7 in that. That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah, the fact that it did, as you mentioned, have the Beetleborgs in it, but it was just an excuse to use their suits. They were actually leftover remnants of the Machine Empire. Was like,
it's perfect. Great explanation.
Yeah, it was just, dear Lord, how far are they going with this? I was kind of secretly holding out hope that Robo Rita was also a product of like the Machine Empire or something like that, but you can't have it all. So
you can't have it all. I don't want to let you go without talking about Beetleborgs a little bit, because here we are, and I have the opportunity. I freaking loved Beetleborgs. I freaking loved Beetleborgs Metallics so much. But my question to you is, when this was airing, Metallics must have been, I don't even know, like 99, 2000, somewhere around there. Maybe even
98, I think.
Maybe 98, somewhere around there. It was in a time where we couldn't just watch things like Google into YouTube and watch whatever the hell you want, go on Netflix and watch the entire series. You would just watch what they gave you on Saturday morning and be happy. And maybe you recorded it on a VHS, maybe you didn't. Did that show ever end? Or did it get canceled? Like, because I remember there was a point where new toys came out, and it was like Beetleborgs, and there was, I forget the name of the line, but it wasn't Metallics. It was like a different thing. And it was the Metallics suits, but the colors of the originals.
It was called Beetleborgs Force.
Yes. What is that? What happened?
It was purely that the Bandai, who made the toys, they were still selling like a lot of Beetleborgs toys. They did well. By the way, let's just call it what it is. The toys for Beetleborgs were amazing. Like,
I love them.
They really
much.
They just imported the Japanese toys. That was it. So you were getting these incredible high quality toys for this show, and they still did really well. But the problem was they ran out of the original season of Beetleborgs adapted B Fighter, and then the second season adapted B Fighter Kabuto. They in Japan didn't really continue past that. Well, like they weren't like badass like Borg dudes anymore. They did a third series, but they made it like a younger children's show. So they looked like little mascot beetle guys. So they were like, we can't adapt this. We're out of Japanese footage. And so when they weighed the cost of doing more Beetleborgs, they were like, it's not worth like creating all this new stuff. But Bandai's sitting there like, yo, we still have the toy rights and the toys are still doing good. So we're going to make our own thing. And maybe at that point in history, Fox did cancel, they for all intents and purposes canceled it. They were like, okay, we're not going to make anymore. But UPN picked it up.
No way.
And there was a rumor that like, oh, maybe if the toys still do well, we'll do more or whatever. So they just aired reruns while there were new toys coming out that looked like it was some kind of new thing, but it wasn't. It was just toys.
Do you ever think that we get a rebooted Beetleborgs? Or is that one of the things that's like, it's not, there's not enough of an audience?
I am probably not seeing that happening. I feel like it did come to Netflix. I guess some more people saw it maybe, but like I know Shout Factory has been like re-releasing a lot of these old shows on DVD and things like that. And I guess every time they put out some kind of new Beetleborgs thing, it's like does not move. Like I don't think it does.
It's so sad.
Well,
Such a
which
sad
breaks my
world.
heart because I loved that show, and yeah, it was, that was. I will say the first season of it. See, you got me down the Beetleborgs path. This
It's
is a
good.
mistake.
I love this.
I hope
This
we
is
have.
so
How many
good.
more hours do we have? I will say the first season of it, if you try to watch it now, is a little hard to get through.
It's rough, real kiddie.
Yeah.
But the Metallics is so good though. Like
Metallics was
there's
good.
like the dueling comic books coming to life. Come on, man, it's so good.
Yes,
but all right.
the whole conceit of Beetleborgs was that they had monsters and they would have to kill them to send them back to the comic. Like that's how they would kill. Okay, if we beat them, they'll go back to the comic, and then that's how we'll get rid of them. Metallics introduced a main villain who, as soon as he showed up, destroyed all the comics. He's like, now where are you going to send me to now? If you kill me, I'll go nowhere. I can't be killed. And they ended the show without revealing what happened. They just canceled it.
It drives me crazy. We
So
need
let's
the third season, Barrett.
Third season of Beetleborgs. Let's do it. You know what? Kind of funny Patreon. No one else is doing it. I'm announcing it here. We will film a third season of Beetleborgs if we get like 10,000 more patrons tonight.
Baby.
We'll do it.
Beetleborgs season 3.
They'll give us the rights. It's not.
I'm sure they will.
I just want to say, like, outside of the, what was it, the 2017 movie, 2018 movie or whatever, I have not watched Power Rangers in any major capacity outside of I think the first movie I had on VHS. And it has just been a blast to hear you guys talk about whatever it is for the last 45 minutes and, like, have enough context clues to what's going on. But it's just been, it's been a joy, y'all.
Okay, well, you don't have to patronize me, but I thank you. I do.
Well, no, I was having a fun time. I just wanted to, express that.
I love it, man. Rocco, this has been an absolute blast. Where can people find you? You were talking about a stream. You want to promote that a bit?
Yes, we are doing I'm from Mega64. I should have said that at the beginning, but Mega64. You can find us on YouTube. Just search Mega64. We've been doing videos and podcasts and streams and short films for a long time. We have a all-day stream on April 20th.
Nice.
We're gonna get trippy. I don't know. I don't know if I could say on here what day that is, but it's gonna be a trippy stream. It's gonna get psychedelic. If you've ever enjoyed any of our comedy, we've been doing it for like 20 years now. You definitely want to tune into that stream. There's gonna be a lot of fun to be had. We kind of do it, we come from a theater background, so we're doing improv comedy. We're doing psychedelic stuff. You got to tune in. And also as you mentioned, we have our own merch. We release our own apparel. We got a whole merch drop coming out on April 20th, exclusively that day. So if you want any of that stuff, that shirt you have is cool. We got even better stuff coming out that day. So I hope you stock up too.
Oh, I will.
I'll send you I'll send you an invoice later.
I love it. I love it so much. Rocco, thank you so much. Everybody go follow Mega64, check out the stream, buy the merch, do all the things. Again, Rocco, thank you so much. This has been awesome. I love how into this you are. I always love being able to talk to people about things I love when they love them even more. This was so great. So we'll have to hang out sometime soon. We'll have to get you actually in the KindaFunny studios up in San Francisco sometime soon.
I'm down. I got all the replica Beetleborgs weapons. They just released them in Japan. I'll bring them.
Fantastic. I want that blue stinger. All right, everybody. I love you all. Once a Ranger, always a Ranger.